Hi, and welcome to Changemakers with Eleanor, the podcast where we dive into the lives and lessons of those who are making a difference. I'm your host, Eleanor Baggaley, and in each episode we bring you inspiring stories from leaders, coaches, and people who are not just dreaming of change, but making it happen. Whether they're penning their first book, working in their community, or leading a revolution in their industry, you'll get a first-hand look at how they're shaping the world. If you're looking to leave a mark or simply love a good story about modern-day heroes, you've come to the right place. Here, we're all about changing the world, whether that's one person's world or the world in general. So grab your notebook or just a comfortable seat and let's explore these fascinating journeys together. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you never miss an episode. Let's go change the world together. So in this week, I am absolutely delighted to have the lovely Heather Barrie on. So Heather, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from and what you do.
I don't know, it's brilliant to be here. We finally managed to do this. It's great. So I'm Heather Barrie. I'm a goal achievement strategist. And if you haven't heard of that, it's because I had to make it up because such a job does not exist. And I'm sure as we go through the pod, you'll find out more about that. I'm based in the beautiful city of Chichester on the south coast of England. And I have a many and varied career path because I've always sort of followed my heart somewhat. And interestingly, yes, the whole thing around setting goals was never in my world. And now here I find myself actually being a goal strategist and realizing actually they're quite important.
Yeah. And I think actually I like the fact that you didn't have a goal to get to that goal.
No, I realized somebody was talking to me about it and said, what, when you were younger, kind of, and I went, I had two goals in life, was to live, because I was very poorly when I was, like super poorly when I was born. So it was two goals, to live and to make money. I lived and I became an accountant. So, I achieved those. And then I kind of thought, but I'm a bit miserable because I'm not doing anything that I love. Accountancy for me is not something that's lovable.
Yeah. You don't seem like an accountant to me, I have to
No.
say. And so funnily enough, accountancy was one of the things that I was looking at doing, and I was just like, no, I don't think I'd fancy doing that.
But interestingly, it's good to have the skills because I can do my own books. And yes, it did earn me money, which was good. It's given me skills that I can impart and share with various clients and so on. So it gives me a great understanding. But one of the really interesting things is that I've realized now as an older woman who's sort of suddenly discovered she has ADHD, which kind of does explain life. It explains everything. But the deadlines, yes, I was good at maths. That's the easy bit. But the deadlines imposed by the structure of accountancy was really, really good for me. It enabled me to do my job. It was really, really good. Unfortunately, the rest of me and the creativity and the, slightly outlandish nature had no place. But I was good at it because it gave me that structure.
Yeah, had the boundaries and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that because I think I was similar so I was a maths teacher. And it was that kind of routine of I needed that. And then, a bit like you, kind of just gone, throw it all up in the air and let's do something totally different.
Yeah.
Who needs goals?
I do, yeah.
Just totally undo everything that you're doing at the moment.
That's right. It's almost like this is all about the thing you didn't know you needed.
Yeah.
The work I do, I kind of put it to certain people. So it's like, you do need a structure. And it is really helpful, but let's find a way of doing it that you feel, that you as a human are actually honored in the process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So obviously the podcast is called Changemakers with Eleanor. So what is it about you that makes you a change maker? And I know you've got kind of the work side of things and you've got lots of different things. So what is it that makes you a change maker?
It's a big question, isn't it? I think I literally, my LinkedIn profile literally says revolutionizing goal setting achievement in a complex world. Because we have to shift things completely. I'll say the swear word once, SMART goals. They've been around for 42 years. They work for people who are super directed anyway. They kind of know when they're gonna get on with it. Wonderful. Lucky them. But for the rest of us, the world is complex, we're complex, and we need something that understands that, but that puts the human back into things.
Yeah.
And I really want to, as I said, I do want to create a bit of a revolution, and I've done little revolutionary things in my time, but I kind of want to really change it because it ends up being almost a cultural change within organizations, whether somebody's an entrepreneur or a business, larger SME and corporate. It is a cultural change. It's like, how do we use something that actually helps people feel part of something? As an accountant, I never felt part of where we were going. You get told, you
Mm.
get handed down something. And so it's like, but you have no idea about me and how I work. And it wasn't just the places I worked, it was like the structure. So
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
we bring the best of people to the process?
And why is it important to you to do that work? What is it that drives you and motivates you to do it?
I think a couple of things. I think partly because I've, literally, as I say, I started in life and kind of, didn't expect to live, didn't expect to have a brain that works in the way that it does. And then sort of suddenly found myself actually, I've achieved quite a bit. But I was a square peg in a round hole. I kind of moved on from things that actually probably, if they'd been managed differently, I think for most people, we've all at some point had a boss or a leader. You just kind of go, they don't know how to lead. They don't even know how to manage, but they definitely don't know how to lead. And so I don't want that for other people. I want other
Mm.
people to feel, that their contribution is worthwhile, that they are heard. Um, so the whole thing around communication and connection, there's lots of lovely words that start with C, including coffee and cake. People feel heard. It's that it's not this top-down thing anymore. Let's go bottom up. Let's people feel as we get into sort of gig economy and the whole thing of, when I was younger, you kind of you work somewhere for sort of 10, 15 years. I mean, I never did, but yeah, that was kind of that's what people thought they did.
Mm.
Now it's like, if you stay somewhere a year, it's like, right, now I'm kind of looking around for the next thing. And how can you actually create a culture where people feel that they're part of something and feel that they actually have a future within an organization because they really are part of it, not just, playing table tennis on a Friday afternoon over a beer. Yeah, that's not business culture. It's how people feel seriously part of something, that they are making a contribution and that they can play to their strengths, bring the best of them to what's going on in the organization.
So when you talk about, so because I know obviously we talked earlier about kind of, we all know what's good for us and we don't cut down on the takeaways or start going to the gym and things like that, and we don't actually necessarily achieve those goals. How does that link kind of the personal aspect of, because I guess that even plays out in a work situation, that you know what you should be doing, whether it is kind of your own business or part of another organization. You know what you should be doing, but we don't always do it. So how does that feed into kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, so one of the things with master goals is that, which is my framework, is that people are, I'm not going to say fundamentally lazy, but actually we most of us kind of want to get away with what we can get away with. But also, we need structure. I'm not a parent, but I know I know a lot of people who are. Kids need a structure. They need a thing so that, for whether it's, a bit more discipline or a bit, we all need some structure in life. So if I have somewhere that there is a structure, and then I can get what I need. So as I said, so the accountancy thing was, I really need deadlines. I'm not a completer finisher. I really am not. So it's that thing of us understanding what we each need and to get as much support around that. So somebody, as you sort of talk about that thing of, getting healthier, exercise less, eat better, some simple rules. And most of us don't necessarily do everything. There's probably a bit of 80-20 going on there, but that's fine. But if you have somebody that you're accountable to, or you've got a class that if you don't go to the class, they're going to charge you £50 fine. You have a thing. And finding what motivates us individually. And it's not just what's your why. We've moved on from that. It's really understanding how you work best. What are your strengths? And if I can work to my strengths, I'm far more likely. We use the Clifton Strengths Finder assessment as part of our work. I really like I like the tool, and there happen to be people in my family who know how to use it. For me, if you're working in your zone of genius, if you're working in flow, it makes it so much easier to embed the new habits, to do what it is that you need to. We all have to do things we don't enjoy doing. I mean, who enjoys doing a VAT return? Said no one ever. We have to do these things, but creating the best environment for that to happen, I think, is probably a good way of putting it.
This just reminds me of conversations I feel like I have on a daily basis with my children, to be perfectly honest with you. We all just have to do stuff that we don't want to do. No, that makes a lot of sense, actually. The kind of finding the ways that work for you in order to get there. In order, like, in your journey kind of to get into this point, have you had kind of moments of personal discovery that have influenced what it is that you're doing, or the work that you're doing has gone like, oh, that's why? Kind of, what are there any kind of key moments that you can think of with that?
Yeah, I think, as I say, I literally sort of slightly just kind of just went through life, just whatever, because I'd been so poorly. I kind of would go, I'd just say yes to things. Like I finished my degree. I was quite young when I finished my degree. I was about 21. And I just went, I'm going to move to the other side of the world. And I did. So I kind of just said yes and then thought about it afterwards. But I'd said yes already. So I kind of cracked on with it. But I also found myself, I mean, one of the key things was when I sort of moved from London down to the South Coast, and I sort of set up a little coffee bar. So I've had a coffee business for my little side hustle for about 17 years, because I love, who doesn't love coffee and cake? And little things like that. So again, that was more on the spur of the moment. But I think hindsight, I've kind of looked back and kind of gone, I did these things without knowing why. And almost if I'd had better insights, I might have made a lot of decisions, probably slightly better decisions, and probably made them slightly earlier. Sort of recently diagnosed ADHD. It doesn't need therapy. It doesn't need drugs. It's not awful, but it's made me understand me so much better. And I think those insights, I wish I'd had a lot of them earlier. But we were talking about, some of the slightly bonkers things I've done. Was my coffee bar was at a train station, and there was a huge strike and nobody was doing anything. The train company didn't care. The government didn't care. Nobody cared. But there were a whole bunch of people who were my customers at my little coffee bar who were losing their jobs, didn't get a job. Do you come in on that train line? Well, sorry, we're not going to give you the job. A friend of mine found her perfect job and she didn't get it, because they said, if you're coming on that, we can't guarantee that you'll be able to get to work.
Yeah.
So obviously all the days of remote working. And I was losing business. I was losing money. I was watching my lovely customers struggling. They were taking 3-4 hours each way to get to work, because otherwise they'd lose their job. It was horrific. Yeah. I was like sort of holding everybody together. And they called a snap general election. And I just turned around and went, I'm going to stand for Parliament.
So, why not? Why not?
That was never in a million years was that on my goal list of things I wanted to achieve. I don't like arguing with people. I'm a fairly confident speaker, but at that time it was just like, this was just not on the agenda. And I remember sending a text to my partner. We were never the sort of couple who, like, you reply straight away, you get a reply sort of 4 or 5 hours later. 10 seconds, go for it, you'll be awesome. And I'm like, damn, got to go and do this now. And I did. And I stood for the Green Party, and I'm very proud to be a member of the Green Party. The Be Nice Party, but actually have something credible you can bring to the world. And I absolutely loved it. And loved it so much I did it again 2 years later when there was another election. And I just, for me, as I say, it wasn't one of my goals, but wow, it's given me so much. It's like a totally different type of confidence in my ability to express myself. It's like, no, you still don't have to have an argument. I can express myself. And that sort of thing of respectful disagreement, which is
Yes.
an amazing phrase. I learned that from an Australian
It feels like that's
academic.
lacking a huge amount at the moment.
So lacking in this world, sadly.
Mm.
But it's given me so much. And as I say, and I bring that kind of into the work that I do. We obviously, and I then ended up getting elected to local government, which was sort of not really my plan. And that really wasn't my plan. But I was a local councillor during COVID, so it was, again,
Okay.
unexpected. But we then ended up setting up so this is a slight tangent, set up a community during lockdown with a friend of mine. My coffee businesses, because of my business model, literally went very quiet overnight. I woke up on Monday
Yeah,
morning and kind of
gosh.
went, yeah, um, I can't do big public events because that's what I did. I supplied I supplied companies so that their staff could have lovely coffee and sit and talk to each other and get creative around a table. I'm like, can't do that now, can we? So yeah, it was like I need another source of income, and I created a community with a friend of mine. He's ex-corporate, more HR side of things and coaching, and we just set up a community to support other entrepreneurs to kind of navigate. Some of them were accidental entrepreneurs. There was so we were all there. We know what it was like, and we kind of created this amazing community. We ran summits, we did LinkedIn training, we did networking. We just had a lot of fun. And all these skills, literally from my life, you know, the politics, the being an accountant, the public speaking, all just kind of came together. And I suddenly found myself in my happy, 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 happy place. Standing around selling coffee is also a very, very happy place, but
And eating
it's
the odd occasional cake, I'm sure.
oh yeah, of course, yes. Even if it has to be gluten free and vegan, I can make them. And then out of that has literally developed where I am now. The whole MARSTA Goals process kind of came out of that, of seeing where people were struggling, seeing, nobody ever woke up and said, I've just achieved my SMART goal. I mean, no one.
No, no.
We've all written them down. You write it down. I run a webinar called They Lied. And so we've been told, write it down, make a plan, bring in some willpower, and you'll get there. It comes back to the nutrition and fitness stuff
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking about. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So yeah, so that was a very long answer to your question.
No, I was thinking while you're saying it because it's like it's all these opportunities that you've just said yes and kind of jumped into, and actually even the bit about kind of texting someone gave you that accountability that it's like, oh right, actually I do have to do it. Whereas if you never sent that text, you might not have even
Yeah, I
taken
would have
that.
just carried on walking, going, stupid idea, you know.
But yeah, yeah, and I think it's that kind of. I think you did say that at the beginning, that kind of jump in, say yes, go for stuff, but actually that structure behind the goal setting stuff just helps make sure that you are more likely to reach success in whatever it is that you've crazily jumped into and said yes to.
Yeah, and in fact, even because somebody, when I said I was standing for Parliament, people go, "Oh, you're doing independence." It's like, no, my values are hugely aligned with the Green Party. Nobody agrees with absolutely everything everybody says, but
Yeah,
huge alignment. But also, it had the structure and had the people there, and the things that we can do. And again, sometimes it happens. And I think we do this a lot. You get attracted to something or you say yes to something. You don't know why. It's not a logical, thought through thing, but
It's
you
just,
know it's right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we aligned with the politics thing that you told. So I was asked if I would stand to be a local councillor, which I have just been selected, and a few people have said recently, would you not be better doing it as an independent? And I was just like, no, because I've not got that structure behind me. So and I'd never really thought about it like that until you've kind of pretty much spelled it out. But yeah, so in May I'm going to be kind of up as a local councillor. Up here. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that'll be interesting. But you've made me kind of think about it in a different way actually, just from talking today. So
Oh,
thank
that's
you.
great. Yeah, and when when you're elected, which I'm sure you will be, and always a listening ear because I know what it involves. It's not the easiest thing, but
Yeah.
it's a really important thing that we have, people with life experience. When I was a counsellor, the incumbent, the people I joined, let's put it this way, they were somewhat out of touch with the real world, and
Mm,
I'm trying to be very polite here.
fine by
um,
me.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
put it this way. I, as a person who's just got their senior rail card, I was the young, but I think there was only one person younger than me. Okay, it was a few years ago. Yeah, during COVID, there was only one person younger than me on the council.
That
You
doesn't
kind of go,
surprise me.
that is not representative. There were a lot of women, I think, which was kind of there was a fairly good balance, men and
Okay.
women, but that was the only sort of demographic balance that we had.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it has changed a bit, which is great. Um,
Yeah, maybe a small amount. Yeah. So where do you see kind of what you're doing going in the future? Like, what's your big goals, your vision,
so my
so to
big vision is
speak?
to change the world.
Oh, that's mine too. We could do it together.
I think you kind of have to have that as part of your energy. When you're with us with a smaller, kind of politics with a smaller party, you have to have that real vision. But for me, I really do want to change something. We've got this entrenched kind of everybody uses it thing that doesn't work, but yet people still that barrier to change. Why are people not wanting to explore doing different things? What kind of gets in the way of trying something new and different? Um, and,
I'd like
and
to
part
hope that you're in you're in the right room with the podcast, that the people listening going, no, I want to change. I want to change. Come on.
Yeah, and because somebody said, because is it? And I kind of get the simplicity of what we've used before. It's simple. You just write it down. Simple, but that's fundamentally why it doesn't work. Is because it is
Mm,
too simple. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have all the things that you really need to actually get to where you want to be. And there's not one size fits all. So how can we make things as adaptable as possible for us as individuals? Um, and I've now forgotten what the rest of the question was.
oh, me too. So we're not a good team. It was about
So for me, where we're kind of focusing at the moment is it's sort of two things. Is like actually let's put the methodology that I've created into the hands of other coaches, consultants, facilitators, so people who are already working with clients, whether it's in a one-to-one coaching kind of a way or they're working with leaders in organizations, depending on where they are. But if we kind of equip them with this amazing methodology, then they can start to use it, and that starts to spread the love. Um, and the kind of the exciting development is that we are now just starting to work with organizations to kind of go in and say, right, hello, um, organization open to looking at something differently. How let's work together with this, because I think fundamentally you end up with it's a bit of a cultural change, because it's a culture of inclusion, it's a culture of conversation, it's a culture of understanding difference. One of the things we kind of have sort of slightly bypassed is, yes, my ADHD, but well, this is so delicious for people, or for people working with people who have somewhere on a neurodivergent spectrum, wherever somebody might be, is how can we include the difference in the way you work? You work this way, I work. If you and I say, and you and I have a lot of parallels, but even if you and I set exactly the same goal, we are going to get there so differently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the
Yeah.
reality, and all the rest of it. Every single thing is different about us. And if we've got a way that we can make that as inclusive as possible. I mean, we can't cater for absolutely everything, but if we can make it as inclusive as possible, that people feel heard. And if I can feel heard, I'm more likely to engage. I'm more likely to be on board if that's the outcome, if that's where we're heading, if I feel that along the way and part of that journey I've been included, the way I work differently, but also my ideas. As an accountant, and this was one that you was talking about, the realizations that you've had along the way. This was one of my first big ahas. When I was at university, we did it was called communications. It was like one of those, the module that you take that's the easy one. That it's just like, I need that last credit. I need 14 credits for my degree, and this was the easiest course to kind of tack on the back, because at that point you're in your final year and your focus is your major or majors. And so I did this course, and every meeting we were learning meeting skills. Okay, we are talking the 80s. The world is different, but meeting skills. And what they did, they would kind of give you they would give you a situation that you had to talk about, and then you had to write down. Well, I think Eleanor is the thing, and so is the leader, and so is and you had to give you had like 10 different roles that you could sort of assign to the people in the meeting. And quite often I was assigned the joker. Now, as a very young, impressionable person, I just took that totally the wrong way. I took it as, you think I'm a joke. I don't have anything credible to say. I'm just mucking about. Hindsight, I realized that actually the solutions we came out, most of them were based on my very clever, slightly out there ideas. So I'm an ideator, but I didn't know that. And so I kind of, I internalized that kind of part of me, went and became an accountant. But the companies I worked with, it's like, literally, here's your little box. You're the accountant, stay in your box. You can't. And I didn't feel, although I kind of knew, because of the money side of things, I kind of knew where the company was going and what their plans were. But I was still, you're presented with it kind of, and you're not even told everything. It's like, this is what we're doing. And
you just stay in your lane and do what you need to do, and
that's what you're thinking. And I never ever felt part of anything. And I mean, obviously you've got strategic and going on here, and you don't have to tell everybody everything. But if there's so many situations thinking back where I kind of go, if I'd had input into that, I would have felt included. But actually, things could have gone slightly differently, because you don't know what my experience is. You don't know how my brain works, because you never asked. And things could have been different, and multiplied by me and everybody else in the company. And how can we bring those strengths and those ideas and that experience and that knowledge in a way that's a little bit structured? Because otherwise it's just a free-for-all party, and that doesn't work either. But giving it structure. And that's what excites me hugely, is that organizations, it's not just a tick box exercise of DEI stuff.
it's actually doing it, not just talking the talk.
Stop just talking about it, and stop kind of going, oh, we have a policy. We have a policy, we won't discriminate. That's not a policy.
But we're not going to be active. Tell us about your animals.
My productivity animals. So this kind of came about because I was looking at just ways that can help people without having to go and do a full, great big assessment or evaluation, just to try and understand a little bit about how we work differently, and are there any sort of little hints and tips and tools and tricks that can help us work or understand that a little bit more easily? Because I always talk about my squirrels. So these are my little ADHD squirrels. My squirrels love to party. And I realized, so I kind of just did some thought. I've as I say, I've been around Clifton Strengths Finders. It's much more detailed. But I've also listened, just in terms of having this community that I've got, just listening to people and how they work differently. So I've come up with 6. It's not hugely scientific, but I've got my 6 animals, and it's an understanding of how we fundamentally work, but also seeing when there's a bit of conflict. So my 6 animals are the magpie, the antelope, the red squirrel, the spider, the terrier, and the anteater. Strangely enough, that's my acronym MARSTA. They all happen to fit into that. Yes, we like that.
What are the chances?
But I know, who'd have thought? I actually put some thought into it. And each of them have quite distinct natures. So if you think of something, for example, so the anteater is very strategic and kind of likes to have everything so, and off they kind of go. The terrier, on the other hand, totally, and you literally think of the nature of these animals. And the terriers are like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to dig that hole till I get down to the center of the earth. So sometimes you almost, and if you understand this within your team, you kind of go, yeah, the terrier type person needs to understand that. So it is a bit of fun, but sometimes you get conflict. And I was saying to you earlier about, if you have that conflict of, I'm quite terrier, I am a completer finisher. But if you've got a kind of like a secondary animal of a spider, which is a perfectionist, that's really hard work, because the terrier is just going to keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. And the perfectionist is kind of going, yeah, it's not quite right, not quite right, not quite right. And nothing else will happen. And you will be there for so much longer than you need to be. And with these understandings, as I say, it is a bit of fun, but actually the understanding is really good, because you then kind of go, right, I need to have perhaps some external deadline for that particular situation I've just described. I need somebody to say, Heather, you've got to have this done by 5. And that, yes, we'll have first
At
proof.
4:55, you'll do it.
Yeah. So you've kind of, you know when you've got an end point that you're actually working towards, knowing you've appeased the spider by kind of going, we'll run it through a proof and then we'll come back again and finish. So, I mean, you'll have this with your book writing side of things.
Yeah.
So these insights help you then put a slightly better strategy in place, or get the support, whether it's a bit of, and as I say, it's fun and light, but actually it's a really, really useful insight to have. And it literally, the test takes 2 minutes.
I am very intrigued as to what animal I would come out as, I have to say. I might have to have a go at it.
I will send you the link. So yeah, so very happy for people to do that.
Yeah, we'll share the link in the show notes, so that if people do want to have a go and see whether they're a spider or a squirrel, can have
you get an instant answer, and then I actually put the report together for you depending on your results, because it's because you can get primaries and secondary. Yeah, there can be quite a few different combinations. So you get a quick overview, and then I'll send you something a little bit more detailed with a few little top tips to help make it easier.
Perfect.
Given your combination.
So as well as the animals, if anybody else is wanting to kind of find out more about what it is that you're doing or has questions, where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
So 2 best places. I hang out a lot on LinkedIn, as you know. So I am literally Heather Barrie 1, all one word with number 1 on the end. There's only one other Heather Barrie who's an ornithologist in New Zealand, and that is not me. In fact, I don't even know if she still does stuff on LinkedIn, so I might be the only one. So my website is MARSTA Goals, MARSTA Goals, all one word.com. And yeah, just reach out, say hi. I'm always open for a conversation, you know that. And if it involves coffee, even better.
And cake on top of that.
Yeah. I have a friend. He's part of our community, and he's obsessed with coffee and cake. So yeah, but I try not to eat too much cake, because
Well, when I used to teach, we used to have cake Fridays. So my A-level maths class, we would take it in turns and bringing in cake. So you could possibly say I'm a little bit obsessed with cake.
It's right.
And then even
It's
when I was doing the book, like a weekly meeting for books, it was fika, which is
yeah.
coffee and cake as well. So
Well, that's a whole nother story because and I'd say very, very quickly, I was using, before COVID, my coffee business was literally put great coffee into a business and literally bring the whole concept of fika. Like, get your organization to sit around a thing with really good coffee, really good cake, talk to each other, get creative, do this thing. As I say, COVID kind of messed that up.
yeah, yeah.
But I actually went to Stockholm to go and
Oh, wow.
explore the whole fika scene and so on. We are
I was
big,
gonna
big
say
fika.
this is yeah bizarre. It's like we're the same person, but not.
Well,
um,
we'll meet in person again, at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point.
definitely. We'll have to. Before we do tie up for today, well, firstly, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't covered?
No, I think it's been a really lovely conversation and kind of the long and winding road. And I think it's just for people to kind of have a conversation with me. With you, if you're working on anything towards anything, and you want to feel that the complexity of you is honoured, then master goals is something you should have a look at. And we're rolling out things. We're going to have little sort of easier little DIY things so people can just work on things for themselves. And my lack of completer finisher means often that ends up being a sort of 80%, not quite there yet, because I then kind
Until
of go,
someone comes and says they want it, and then it's like,
yeah,
right,
and then
okay.
it will get finished, but it's mostly done.
Yeah, no, that I totally get that. And then finally, I ask all my guests this, and I know you've shared kind of so much about you already. Is there an interesting fact about yourself that you want to share, or something fun, or an interesting
Oh,
fact?
something fun. I was about to get all. I was about to get
You can go
all serious.
serious. That's fine.
Um, so yes, so my tragic start in life, that I was very, very ill. I am born on the same day of the year that our wonderful NHS was born, not the same year, obviously. And if it was not for the awesome NHS, I would not be here because I was in hospital for 7 months. My heart failed and all sorts of things. So that's my very, very gorgeous thing. And my second, which is far more interesting, is that I make the best gluten-free bread on the planet.
We are definitely meeting in person. Well, interestingly, my youngest little girl was in heart failure from being a couple of weeks old. So she had heart surgery at 4 months old. So yeah, so I do kind of I
I
get
was
that
I
side
was
of it.
five, I was 5 when I had my surgery.
Oh, okay, yeah, she was 4 months. Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh,
yeah.
that's all right.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely fine. You wouldn't even know now. She's a little tornado. So
Yeah, she's mini me.
yeah.
It does. I think it does that for me. That 100%, that energy of kind of going, I have survived that much trauma in that
Mm.
way, and I've come out of it. And they said I shouldn't do this, 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 and this, and I kind of went, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I've just kind of got on with it in life. And I think that that's inspired by my parents. 100% enabled me to do that, and I'm sure you're doing the same with your daughter. That it's just like you've got to just get on and live it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully we are doing that. So, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Heather. It's just been amazing. I've really, really enjoyed chatting with you today. So thank you so much.
Excellent. I mean, we'll have to reciprocate, and you'll have to come on mine.
Oh, well, yes, yeah, and I'm sure we've got many more things that we can talk about as well. So, but yes, thank you so much.
Excellent. Bless you. Thank you, my love.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Changemakers with Eleanor. I hope you're leaving as inspired as I am. If today's story has sparked something in you, remember it's never too late to start making a difference. Whether it's writing that book you've always dreamed of, stepping up in your community, or starting that campaign you're passionate about. If you enjoyed our time together, please consider giving us a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform, and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration. Your support helps us to reach more changemakers just like you. Join me, Eleanor, in the next episode for another deep dive into the stories of those who dare to dream big. Until then, be your greatest. See you next time.